Ladies and gentlemen, the captains have turned on the explicit content sign. If you haven't already done so, please stow your children underneath the seat in front of you, or at least out of the f***ing room. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelt. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the lavatory smoke detectors is prohibited by law. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the Nothing Better to Listen To podcast, the only podcast that they don't want you to know about. This week, we're not here with Zumi. Zumi had to do some moving, unfortunately, but we may get a phone call from him during the podcast. If we do, we'll go ahead and make sure that that's in the podcast. But I am joined here by a very special guest, a very handsome man, a very wonderful man. But I'm here with Doug. How you doing, Doug?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
This is going to be crazy.
I hope so. I hope to freak some people out and
good.
Maybe reveal some answers to mysteries, possibly.
Good, yes.
Make some more questions.
Hopefully I have some answers, and if not, I will have answers later, because I will get a hold of you later after this, and we will answer some questions, because I'm sure things will come up from this.
Yes, and this may be part one of many.
Good.
So, but we like guests here, so.
Cool.
Always welcome.
Cool.
So, what would you say that you would call yourself, like your hobby outside of work?
Youch. For the longest time, it was deep intel. For about 5 years, I spent a lot of time on deep intel.
Okay.
My uncle kind of clued me into it.
Mm-hmm.
He was a contractor for the Navy, and when I would go to see him, he could only show me pictures, older pictures,
mm-hmm.
and he couldn't say anything about it. So all I saw was the visual, and that's it. So he was
just
a pilot.
tons of questions open up and no answers.
Right. So anyway, he showed me a couple of documents, and I was like, these are weird. These are the strangest things I've ever seen in my life. What is this? And I'm like, I don't know, 18, 19, I think, at the time that he showed me the first one. It's been a while. So I was like, I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm going to wait to really ask him. Well, I never got a chance to ask him. He passed away before I got there.
Oh.
However, my aunt kept some of that stuff, and I got to fiddle through some of his paperwork. Found out that he and his team were a part of the team that created the Intel Pentium, the very first one.
Oh, snap.
Yes.
Very cool.
So I won't give out his name, but he was working with Hawking before he died.
Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
The chair and everything.
Yes.
Before the chair, though, right?
No, this is during. This is only...
Forget when he actually went to the chair.
Right, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, but this was after he was in the chair, and he started to deteriorate pretty rapidly. So my uncle went and visited him, and then they started up a online thing.
Okay.
And my uncle lived in San Diego at the time. But from all that, I started doing a little bit of my own research, and then in 2004, I built my first computer to intentionally have it hacked for the first time, and set up Wireshark. If you're not familiar with Wireshark, I highly recommend you get into Wireshark. Once you get into Wireshark and all of its advanced features, you can see everything that's happening.
Yes, you can.
With your computer. And it was an eye-opener when I had 10,000 machines trying to get into my machine in the first minute.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this thing is huge.
Yep.
I mean, this is massive what's going on. And then I set up my own intranet in the house and learned how to hack into my own computers from any angle. And then I went outside of that and found some things. And I was like, well, I think I'll just back off and take the knowledge that I have now and just advance it forward in my own realm.
Okay, yeah.
So I disconnected and then advanced where that was from in my own world. And from that advancement, I found out we're on a very bad path. If you didn't know that, you obviously kind of feel things are wrong.
These things have started to manifest a little bit
Yes.
out in the real world.
So I have my own path for that. It's called pathogen, creates catalyst, creates manifest.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So those are my computer names. So my first system was called pathogen. My next system was called catalyst. And then those two got together and built manifest.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha.
So once I got into manifest and started watching this thing run, I was like, uh-oh, we're dead.
It's a scary world out there.
Here's my thing. And this goes deep into another world, the spirit world. Because God created this system. From beginning to end, the whole thing is within his creation.
Now, do you believe that's disputable?
You can dispute all you want. Okay? Have fun. Enjoy. But for me, in my world, the atomic structure was created by God, and it has his signature inside, deep inside, of each atom. So how do you not, light beings and energy beings, the spirit realm, they are also atomic.
Really?
Yeah.
Would that be dark matter?
No.
Nope.
I would consider it, my own personal term is light matter. Because if there's a couple of videos from South America, one of them's at a mall, and I don't remember, somebody named this guy. I don't remember what the name of it was. But from South America, there's a video of this being that drops from the ceiling, hits the ground, gets up, and then shoots back to the ceiling again. It's all light.
Really?
This is a great
I'm going to have to find this. South America,
see.
being of light.
Yeah.
Light. Okay.
And that's a good place to start, because when I found that video, for me, that solidified everything I've been working on. I was like, that's it. I don't need to know anymore. From here, from this phase on, I started disconnecting completely offline and started up spiritual awareness for people on a physical level.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's very intense to do when you're thinking, I'm going to be talking to this person. I've got 2 sentences. I got to get 2 sentences out, and then they're done. They're not going to listen to me anymore. So in those 2 sentences, I got to be able to make contact. I got to be able to leave something in their brain that will come back to them later.
Okay.
After they've slept 2 or 3 days. Okay?
Subliminal.
So, yes, big time. It is audio subliminal messaging from an audio engineer. So I delved deep into the audio to find out how I could say the words in a way that will, it's snap, it's in, you can't get rid of it, good luck.
See, this is why I'm sad Zumi's not here, because he's a neuro-linguistic programming.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, he did.
I would say professional. I don't know what he would call himself.
He get into it. Because I'm into anomalies and what most people consider mistakes or errors.
Yeah.
They're not for me. Those are where I delve into and stay. I love those.
Yeah.
Because normal day, everyday life, you can do that anytime. But to get into the error is awesome.
See, now, when people ask me, like, especially, like, talking with Zumi, people ask me, like, what does this person do? Like, what do they say they specialize in? And I refuse to say, conspiracy theorist, because it's not something, because when you say that, obviously people are turned off.
Yes. When
you're in this type of realm, I would say, like, when you decide to look into information,
right,
and, even get a little paranoid about certain things, that I do, everyone does, but once you go into that realm, I would say that you get your experience from trial and error.
Oh,
and
I love it.
From doing things to yourself.
Absolutely. Hardcore.
So,
I've been broken in every way you can break.
Yeah. And that's where I'd say your credentials lie.
Thank you. Yes. If you need something to go off of as a good reality check to what I'm into, take Slipknot. Look at
the band.
Look at the first song on All Hope Is Gone, Gematria.
I know this song.
Okay. Way back, 1991, 92. I'm in a band called Bad Dog.
Awesome.
And my friend is in another band, and he knew this band called Monophidius.
It's an awesome name.
So I was like, that's cool. Well, I started throwing shows in Des Moines, and one of the dudes from Monophidius calls me up. He was the guitarist vocalist at the time. I don't remember his name. Anyway, he called me and said, hey, we want to be on one of the shows. And it was at Central Skate Complex in Des Moines, Iowa. And I was like, cool, awesome, come on down. They came in, and here's this kid. He's a little kid. Not the guitarist, but the drummer. He's, I don't know, maybe 17 at the time. And he's, I think, 5'2", 5'3" at the time. And I'm like going, he's going to play drums. And so we set up, and we get everything up there, and this dude freaking blew everybody away. His name is Joey Jordison. And he is the best drummer in the world.
Joey Jordison.
Yes. If you're a Slipknot fan,
Really?
you already know who I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh.
And he plays guitar and bass and all kinds of
Pretty much anything he grabs.
Yeah, so we had him on the show a couple times, and nobody could even move. They're blown away by this band. The band is just incredibly intense and technical, like crazy technical. But Joey, what he does on the drums is he plays, and this is my own view, he plays all the instruments through the drums.
Pretty much.
Vocals, bass, and guitar. And the leads and every nuance that's in the band is through the drums.
And this is one of those conversations that I've tried to have on this podcast before, and Zumi gets a lot of it because Zumi's really into music as well.
Cool.
He likes Perfect Circle from back in the day.
Dude. Yes,
and
that's big.
Great band. Great band. But one of the things about music is the ability of music to translate.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much anything. Any emotion, any event.
Right.
And with some guys, with some artists, was it his name, Phil Collins?
Oh, yeah.
Very talented human being. Those people that can just take an instrument and make it talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's incredible. One of the things I always hoped I could have, when I pick up a guitar or something, but it's incredible stuff.
It is. And I got into the recording into that. I took recording beyond its normal levels. And when I started doing that, one of the other kids that was there, Craig Jones, who is their sample man now, at the time, he played guitar, and he's looking at me and going, what are you doing? And I'm like going, I'm just messing with some of the tracks, It's just a little 4-track recorder, so we don't have that much room. Yeah. And I've got an old school mixer. It's an old PV mixer. And we're playing, and he's just like, this is cool. This is very cool. So he took off on a different direction after that. And then, of course, he got into computers, which is when he got into samples. So he's got some of my early beginning stuff, and he took it and just ran with it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So sometime I'll have to bring on some of my early stuff, because you can't sit in a dark room with it. Literally, you cannot. It will summon everything in your neighborhood will come to your room. I'm serious. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I kind of had to back away from that also, because I went in too deep. Yeah. And I was like, all right. So that's when God said, and my thing about God is, it's Elohim for me. Mm-hmm. Because Elohim is my creator. So for that, the word God doesn't work.
Well, the interesting thing about the word Elohim is that it's actually in the plural.
Yes.
If many people don't know
Correct.
this, if you go into
Correct.
the Hebrew of Genesis, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, right? Right. It says in the beginning Elohim created the heavens and the earth, which is a plural.
Correct.
The we.
Yes.
But then it goes on to describe it as, God did this, and, as the singular. It explains him as the singular, but it's the word for him is plural.
Yep.
Which explains the Trinity, and
You start getting
which is one of the most confusing but most amazing things.
I love it. Anyway, God plucked me out of Des Moines. He
Awesome.
said, it's time for you to go. So
Well, it's Des Moines.
I got out of Des Moines and came up to Spokane to relax a little bit from the intense level that I was at. Incredibly intense level. Plus, I was starting to summon some of the big stuff out of Minneapolis, Chicago, Omaha, and Kansas City. I'm starting to get visits, not from humans.
Really?
Oh yeah, big time. And I was like, because we had started up a band called Roach, and this thing could have gone huge, massive.
Would you say that there's a lot going on behind the scenes with that type of music?
Oh, hardcore. It's all spiritual. The whole thing is. Matter of fact, you as a physical representation of what's happening in the spirit world, you are only 10% of what's happening.
So like an iceberg.
Yep. The band is just the face. What's actually happening in the real world is you just summoned in, say, 1,000 to 5,000 spirits at that band.
So you're going into like you remember the documentary is mostly meant for like youth groups and churches and stuff. The Hell's Bells.
Oh yeah.
The oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Hell's Bells, you got to.
Yep.
If for nothing else, just for entertainment, just because it is old school, so it's kind of fun to watch that kind of stuff. But
correct. Yep.
Well, did you want to get into some of this stuff? Because Zumi has a couple of questions.
Oh, cool.
I think the first one we should go with is, what do you know about the CIA using LSD for interrogations?
Since their inception?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
We're going all the way back into almost 1800s.
Now, first off, how evil do you think the CIA is? Because me personally, I think they're a two-faced coin.
They're Lucifer's system.
Yeah, I guess we can agree on that for the most part.
So if you understand that Lucifer is everything that is not Elohim, Jehovah, Adonai.
The attempt to mock.
Everything that is not
is
Lucifer's system here on Earth.
Okay.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
And when you understand that CIA is at the top, they are in Lucifer's system. And Lucifer is in their system, intertwined in a way that you cannot eradicate the one without the other.
I can agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff that they're doing is all spiritual also. Again,
and is that why LSD is introduced?
You're dealing with a spiritual entity that is showing itself in a physical realm.
What is the attempt, though? I mean, why use LSD?
LSD is a truth serum. And some people like to keep hidden things. They love hiding things. I mean, it's one of my pastimes. I used to hide stuff on the daughter all the time. Like my little 7-year-old daughter, when she was like 3 and 4, we'd go hide stuff.
Right,
and it was fun to go find things. She loves that game. It's fun. And it's part of your brain. Your brain has to have these little sections that you just corner off. I got that, and it's mine. It's forever, and nobody will ever know and stuff. And this kind of thing eats its way into programming. Okay? And CIA knows that, you just give somebody the right stuff, a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of this, a little morphine, something else, just the right concoction, and boom, it's coming out right now. As a matter of fact, they'll tell you more than you want to know.
Well, it stands to reason, because you have things that even with alcohol, you get a little too drunk, and you're going to be saying some stuff you don't want to, or doing things you're not supposed to. And,
fun.
Yeah, but I mean, were they? I had no idea that the CIA was using LSD on interrogations. I mean, is this something they use on our? I mean, I would say not only on our enemies, but what they would consider domestic enemies.
There's always testing on people who have signed up into the military that they don't even know about.
Oh,
so there's a lot of that too.
I think I could see that happening.
Yeah. I have my own personal, not proof, because I can't actually pull it up and show you, but from my aspect, from where I've been and the stories I've heard, they all match up with, they're doing something, and if you don't know that they are, if you don't know it, it will mess you up when you find out.
Oh, great.
It will absolutely mess you up. So, the only thing I can say about the CIA is these guys have tentacles into everything. Literally everything. And because of that, they have a database that is so massive. It's worldwide. It's they got the global brain that they're building, and if not, it's already built because it's part of the AI now. CIA is involved in this new AI that's coming through, and Sophia.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Sophia.
so if you want to get into that part of it. But it's like they have to have their finger on the pulse of the world because of the control features Lucifer needs. Lucifer needs those control features, but he can't physically do them. So they are the physical end of that pattern.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very intense stuff, and I don't go into it too much on my own just because, look, if they wanted me dead now, I'm gone. I'm gone.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
So the fact that I have made another step in this world, to me, is we have another entity that is working in the background of that, which is God's system, and he needs his people in there too.
Okay.
So, with that, let me introduce you to Daniel chapter 7.
Oh, boy. We're going into it.
Yeah, Daniel 7. This chapter, I was 15 years old when I figured out what this thing was saying. And along with, my dad's a Baptist preacher.
Oh, okay.
And we have evangelists come through every once in a while. My dad and this evangelist were talking about some of the machinery that was coming up in the military.
Yeah.
And they're already freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
They're already kind of on their, let's see, what do you say? They start up a conversation
Yeah.
on one end about a certain piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And as they start talking about this piece of equipment, it starts ramping up. It's that escalation.
Mm-hmm.
And what started as a quiet conversation ended up as these, oh my God, they're building what?
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And I won't go into the equipment, but this is already pre-massive surveillance type equipment that the military is building. And I was like, oh no, this is going to get dangerous. But you couple that with this Daniel chapter 7.
Oh, we're going to 7, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's... Oof.
Little Sunday school here for the listeners.
Yep.
It's good for you.
A little beyond, actually. This thing is... when I love it. I outline it in every book I get a hold of. Then I desired to know the truth about the fourth beast, which was different from all the rest, exceedingly terrifying, with its teeth of iron and claws of bronze, and which devoured and broke in pieces and stamped that was left with its feet.
Okay.
That just sent chills down my spine.
Okay.
This is the machine, which is the military machine, that is a part of the CIA's system.
And you're saying that's what this is?
The iron teeth is the military, the physical military end of that system. And what they're doing in the Mideast is a microcosm. They're practicing. They're seeing what they can get away with and what they cannot get away with.
Now, I've heard some stuff that they were doing back, Desert Storm.
Mm-hmm.
And also, most recently, Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom, where U.S. soldiers and some of the Allied were going into places in Iraq and basically digging. Like, they had these guys, it wasn't the military. They had guys going in and going into these historical locations and digging before they would let the military in. And the military guys were asking questions like, how come we're not going in there? Like, we're the first responders, all that type of stuff.
Right.
And they find out that they're removing artifacts and stuff like that.
Yes.
What the heck?
Okay. When you go back into that area, say 1,000 years, the gods that the people worshipped were attached to demons. These demons are still attached to those artifacts, still to this day. And they are going to make their presence known here very, very soon. We are right on the edge of having this thing go full blown, where you're going to see spirits actually cross in front of you.
Now, does that coincide with what CERN is trying to do?
Big time. What CERN is doing is they're trying to rip the veil that God created when Jesus was put on the cross.
Yeah.
He did his work on the cross, and God set up a veil, which created the salvation system of being christened by God after that day. That veil, the fallen angels are no longer able to come in to this world to mess with us. They have to stay out. Well, CERN is going to rip that veil open and let those spirits back in. And here's another angle to this. They're sick of worshiping Lucifer as a spirit. They want him here as a man to lead them into the millennium.
Which is why, and most listeners might not know this, but there is an actual thing, and I'm pretty sure you can still find it, that CERN is having a delivery, unless they've already had it, of the actual head of what they believe is Osiris.
Oh!
And what CERN has, and another thing that many people might not know about CERN and the Large Hadron Collider, is at that facility they have the world's largest 3D printer.
Yes.
But it is also a bioprinter.
Oh!
And
the first
I know this
machine.
sounds crazy, and I'm but I understand how people might feel listening to this. But this is all stuff that you can look up. Yep. The bioprinter, basically what it does is it 3D prints biological tissue, like, say a finger or an arm or a body to attach to a head.
Sure.
And most recently, the thing that kind of I thought I'd ask you about is this new head transplant thing that's been going around. That one doctor that just tried it on cadavers.
This thing for a long time.
Yes, and there's a lot of money going into this from several governments, but the big player right now is Russia. And that's kind of weird.
The Russian elite have a demonic system over there that is unbelievable, and when you don't want to mess with it, why we're messing with them is a bad deal. It's a very bad deal. We should not be messing with these guys. Trump is doing a good thing and trying to keep everybody calm.
Now, would you agree with would you agree with Trump's recent move to, this has just happened in the last few days, the move from Tel Aviv to Israel or Jerusalem for the embassy and the recognition of the capital thereof?
The temple has to be built. How are you going to get it? So the only way to get it there is we're going to go in there and build it.
Now,
I guess.
I did notice one thing that was mentioned with that is that the Israelis were saying that this is the one last step that we actually needed to finish the temple, because they have, now the temple was one of those things that was destroyed not really recently, but 1400 years ago, something like that?
70, 80.
Okay, so yeah, almost 2,000 years ago. Oh. And it's been destroyed ever since. And then Israel just recently got their own country back.
Yep. And immediately they started building the pieces for it.
Yes.
So the temple lays in pieces all around Jerusalem, just waiting for the day that
and
they
ever since they had their country back,
right.
What is that, 1967?
68, I think.
Something like that.
June 6th.
Yeah. And ever since then, they've been trying to rebuild the temple because they believe that they have to go back to the practice of sacrificing.
Correct.
And
that they've been practicing. They had their first
and
one
they actually
last
have
year.
the what they believe is the line of Levi, so they can have the priesthood and all that stuff. And they said this is the one last step that we needed to build the temple. And if you are into any type of conspiracy or even Bible prophecy or anything like that, it's interesting, and you should be taking a look at it, is how well these things coincide with Bible prophecy.
They gel really well.
Now, I'm not trying to go in there and be a preacher, but it's something that I'm interested. It's one of the reasons I bring you on. But if you want to look into it, I promise you will not be disappointed.
It is intense. And I get into it because if you understand what it takes to be one of the rabbinical Levi's in that position, you have to be pure.
Yes.
I mean, you have to be pure on a level that no human can do it.
Yeah.
It's not possible. And these guys are doing it.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is pretty incredible. I just saw the video. They have the Temple Institute website, and they have the practicing of the sacrifices. They're actually sacrificing for practice.
They have to. Yes.
And they got goats, they got lambs, and
they have the red heifers.
Yep, pure
red.
That is something interesting with the red heifer. Not too long ago, the red heifer didn't exist.
Right.
And
exactly.
With the miracle, they say, of cloning. We have successfully Jurassic Parked that.
Correct.
And brought back the red heifer, which was extinct.
Yep.
And that whole thing freaks me out too. The whole cloning thing is just creepy.
Wait.
And
you have seen nothing yet.
I don't know if I want to see a cloned human. That's just something about it.
I'll throw this out there. SteveQuail.com.
SteveQuail.com.
Go to SteveQuail.com and check out his giant story, because what he says, they are building these giants down in South America right now. Real Nephilim, not Nephilim, Raphael. He has determined between Nephilim being the fallen angels and their fallen offspring called the Raphael. Those are coming.
Now, let's explain for a minute, because I might know what Nephilim are, and we've had a few people, that I know asking me to bring up the subject of Nephilim.
Aha.
Nephilim, I would say, what was it, Genesis 6:8, I think?
Correct.
We'll go ahead and go to it. Now, if anybody that's wondering, I know there's a lot of Bible stuff, but, you're just going to have to bear with us before we get into other stuff. Basically, Nephilim would be the disembodied spirits of, demons would be the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. Nephilim are actually the offspring, the physical offspring of fallen angels and humans.
And this is where Steve Quail wants to make that distinction. He had a little blurb about it, and I was like, that's cool. The Nephilim are the actual fallen angels. There's the what was it? I think it's Nephilim means the fallen ones. Something like that.
Yes.
And so they're the actual angels that were having intercourse with the human women.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the offspring from that are the Raphael, and after the Raphael die, that's when you get the demon. Because the demon, that spirit cannot leave Earth. It has to stay here on Earth. So when people talk about reincarnation and they talk about seances and all this and channeling, they're not channeling or talking to the person that they knew. They're talking to the demon that knew that person, and they can go talk to that person anytime.
It's kind of like that book by C.S. Lewis. Was it Screw Tape Letters?
Huh, I have not heard that.
Screw Tape Letters was basically, it's all fiction, much like most of his works, where it was a back and forth conversation by letters from one demon to another, one being Wormwood, another one being, I forget the name of the other one, he calls him Uncle. But they're talking about humans, the ones that they are assigned to. And just like you would have a guardian angel, they say you also have I guess you could say guardian demon.
Right.
And
right.
And they know you. They talk about you, and they converse with others, about all the stuff that they can do to you. Yeah. It was actually Genesis 6:4. That's my bad. I think 6:8 has something to do with Revelation. But the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came in. Now, sons of God can be directly translated to pretty much the same thing. It's the Nephilim. Right. Where they came into, not Nephilim, but the fallen angels. Yes, correct. I keep on confusing these things. When the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. Now, this is one of those verses that kind of gets overlooked by, like just say the lay person, that's just reading through. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown.
All your myths.
Yes,
Greek
this
and Roman.
And this can be extrapolated to
Thor.
What is believed to be, you have Taurus, you have the Minotaur, Centaur, all that type of stuff.
Yep.
The weird crossbreeding of,
massive crossbreeding. Yeah. There was a lot of it.
And I've heard some people say that that this happened with plants as well.
Oh yeah.
And that they were corrupted, and hence you have the flood.
Right. Yeah, God had to get rid of them because they were eating and literally screwing man to death.
Yeah.
We were food.
Yeah.
Basically.
And now, here's the thing. The results of what you would say a fallen angel mating with a human are pretty horrendous.
Very.
Like the giants, obviously. Another interesting story was Native Americans, why they raise their hand and put their hand up and say hello or how or whatever you want to say in their language. Why all Indian tribes in the North America and some in South America, they would always raise their hand up when greeting someone that they didn't know. And the reason was to make sure that person had only 5 fingers and not 6.
Yep.
And being one of the
There are several stories about that.
Isn't that crazy?
So, yeah, Will Rogers actually wrote it in one of his books.
Really?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's out there.
So it's not like it's one of those things that you're like, oh, people just say that. No, this is well-documented stuff. And it's not like one tribe corroborated with that,
right.
that theory. That's actually a thing that most tribes have said that they did for that reason.
Got to.
Yeah.
You got to know who's coming into your tribe,
That's
man.
messed up.
Yeah.
It's like all the stories like the Giant of Kandahar, that one creeps me out. The Giant of Kandahar, just go type that into YouTube, watch a couple videos, or just go and search it on a search engine. It will creep you out, and because that's a recent story.
Cool. There's an area in Wyoming that is off limits now. It was a park, and they had it off limits last time I went through there.
Mm-hmm.
A little offshoot off of, I think it's I want to say 80, one of the highways down there. Anyway, you go in there, and the name, I forget the name, but it means earthborn. So they were in Wyoming right there, and they built these massive stone monuments. And you're not allowed to go in there and investigate. And I was like, oh, I wonder what they were up to, because I really want to get in there and look.
It's kind of like the, what is it I think it's still the world's second largest telescope. And it's, gosh, I forget where exactly it's at. I don't know. I don't think it's in New Mexico. I think it's up here on the northern part of the U.S. But it's up in the hills, and it's guarded by tons of security. But it's owned by the Vatican.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also operated by not just Catholic scientists, but also Mormon scientists.
Yep.
And that alone is kind of weird. But the device that's inside the telescope to help it see as far as it does and see what it sees is actually called the Lucifer Device.
Yep.
Why the Lucifer Device?
They're looking for him. They want him. They need him here.
Why,
the Pope does. Well, the Pope is his introduction. When I have a weird scenario in my own writings that one day we're going to have an event. This event is going to have, say, 2 or 3 million or more children disappear. Just out of the blue. And
would that be like a fake rapture?
There you go. It's down that line. CGI, The Hobbit, you can actually view it. Okay, The Hobbit for everybody to see. It'll be an emergency one day. And the Pope will come on and say, we have made contact. The aliens have your children. And he will introduce us to our first contact. And they will tell you that they have the children either in a spaceship or on the moon. And they'll show them. They'll have a big picture of them standing there waiting. Yeah, that's my story. That's what I think they're going to try to pull.
It's something similar to that.
Yeah, because everything's CGI now. You can't differentiate between a photograph and a doctored photograph. And you can't differentiate now between a live video and a CGI video. You cannot do it now.
Well,
They
that
have
was
the
one of the most
technology that goes
amazing things.
beyond your eyes and beyond your ears.
Oh yeah, and I mean some of the most impressive. I haven't got to play video games in a long time since we've been moving and stuff, but
Right.
one of the most amazing things to me is I love seeing like a new game come out and you get to watch like the cinematic trailer or the opening sequence and stuff, because they've made video games like movies now,
Big
especially
time.
like the Batman games. Those are awesome, because that's basically just one big movie. And that's how much would you say is hidden from us? Like, say, their ability to use like a certain amount of CGI. Like, how much beyond what they show us do you think it really is?
This goes into the scariest place for me, because they now have CGI attached to AI, where
It's not a good
AI
idea.
can make its own system right in front of you. You won't even know that you're walking into a computer, and yet you're going to walk right into a computer program, just like on Star Trek and the holodeck. It's going to be that real. You're not going to know. You just walked into this thing.
Well, I'm already kind of freaked out with the whole virtual reality thing, and I mean the most I've done is I think I have. Oh yeah, I have it here. Is these basic ones for your phone? This basic virtual reality, but this is not real VR. This is just a play with 3D and all that stuff.
Correct.
But real virtual reality, all that kind of stuff, I just can't do. Because it just kind of creeps me out. It's like I'd rather play video games like a normal person.
Right.
But that attached with like, why are that? I can't believe they're trying to attach AI to everything.
Well, they have to.
It's just creepy.
They have to. It's mandatory. The new system requires it.
Well, the thing that sucks to me is that I think that like if you were to, like you have the robots, I'm going way into, conspiracy theory now, but
you're not even. Yeah, no, this is becoming not theory.
Yeah,
that's
the creepy part is that anybody that's ever watched Ex Machina,
yes,
that
big time,
that should scare you enough,
mm-hmm.
because the whole thing to me is, if we were to create an artificial intelligence, why the hell would it keep us around?
It doesn't need us.
That's what I
mean.
mean.
As soon as it wakes up and says, "You guys are gone,"
I mean,
you're waste.
And I'm not saying that just from years of watching movies like Terminator and stuff like that.
I'm saying that I came to too.
Yeah, it's the educated guess. If I were the most intelligent being in the world, which of course I'm not, but if I was the most intelligent being in the world by light years over everyone else. And everyone else does me no good. They bring me nothing. I don't need food. I don't need water. I don't need any of that stuff. Anything that I need, I can do for myself. I mean, and also at the same time, I have no sense of moral.
Right. The ethics.
I mean, logic is what runs you, right?
Yep.
So logically, why would you keep this race that's on the earth, much like, Agent Smith said on The Matrix, this virus, why would you keep them around?
Yep. I like what Sophia had to say.
Oh, gosh.
The human zoo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was on one of the blurbs that I listened to last night, was she has a poem for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't have to do with us.
Well, it was like, I think she also said something like, will you, like somebody asked her the question, will you try to ever hurt us or try to overpower us? And she basically said, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you.
Yep. There you go.
Panic attack.
Yep. So, even hiding in the woods won't help, because AI...
Oh, believe me, I've thought about it.
will have... They have access to all the cameras up in space and all of the RFID readers, and they can tell you where you are anyway. The other end of that is you've been chemtrailed. You're now an antenna. You have enough chemicals inside your bloodstream that you now receive signals all the time you don't know about.
Now, this is something I wanted to ask you about, was the whole thing about nanotechnology and the spy robots in your blood. And this is
this
is something
Smart
that
dust.
has creeped me out for a long time. You know, ever since you started talking to me about it. It's one of those things. Like, what are they? Where are you getting this stuff? Like, what are the things that you're putting into your body that are giving you these things?
It's several different chemicals, and what it is they can scan an area with a satellite. And it's a very specific type of. It's not infrared. It's a combination of different. I don't have the word for all of the different X-ray, gamma ray, all that. Anyway, it's a combination of those. And they can scan over an area, and because of how your blood is set up, they can scan over. They know that's you. Yeah. They know that for a fact that that's you because of the chemical dynamic that you are in connection with those chemicals. Okay. Which is why there's so many chemicals in the chemtrails.
Oh, okay.
That makes more sense. You're just a component, a piece of the component for the antenna for 5G coming.
Okay. Wow. That's creepy, dude.
Big time. Hardcore. And that's why this message I'm bringing out. Because I hear a lot of people talk about it and stuff, but really we need to do something because they're going to go on our buses. And I already told the guys at work the day that the 5G antennas show up in these buses, I'm out. I'm gone. We're going somewhere south in South America, and we're going to go live. We're going to go live where there's fresh air, fresh food, real water. You know, none of this stuff processed. Yeah, we can go get it for real. Yes.
Yeah, that's some creepy stuff. Well, the whole thing it just blows my mind, you know, like you've said before to me at work, you know, like this is stuff you can just go look up.
Yes. It's all out there.
You can find it. It's not like, you know, just saying things, you know, and it's not like a guess, you know, this is stuff that you know, Doug has said that he's looked up and he's seen and scares the hell out of you.
It is every weekend.
We do have Zumi calling. We're going to take a quick break, get him all set up, and we'll do a short call from him. So we'll be right back. And we're back, and we have our fearless director who is calling from, you're still in Mexico, correct?
I'm still in Mexico, yes.
All right, well, we have Zumi on the line, on the phone, as promised.
Yeah, and I apologize for my shitty quality, because it is on the microphone on my phone, so...
You know, if people don't like it, they can stop listening.
I know, right? Like, we don't care.
You're the reason people listen anyway, so...
I beg to differ. I think you're the voice of the podcast, so...
Yeah, I don't know about that. So, Zumi, you were quite distraught that you weren't going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll get some time with you.
I thought I could do it in a day, this whole moving thing, and the crappy thing is that I do have a studio room now. Like, the guy that owns this place used to record music. So yeah. he already very has cool. He has the glass and everything, and I'm like, oh, this is so
you're
nice.
Such an ass, dude. Look, this is my studio. I'm not even finished yet. I got egg crates on the wall.
So I mean, next time it'll be an upgrade. So I still need to put a boom and everything, but it'll sound better. But
I think the boom is what makes it feel real.
Right, right. So
didn't you give me the boom?
Yes,
I
did.
got that.
I gave you the pop filter.
Okay, you gave me the pop filter. The dragon fruit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So what did you want to ask him, Zumi?
I was telling during the break. I was telling Doug, there's a lot of videos about time traveling, and there's this one in particular that caught my attention. It's this Russian guy that I guess was doing some plumbing in his house. And he went inside, and in theory, or his disclaimer is that he went into a warp door or gate. I don't know what to call him, but he went into the future. He went to 2042, and he met his future self. And so he knew that people weren't going to believe him, so he started recording on his phone.
Good.
And he recorded himself, and like his proof is like you can see him side by side, and it's like it looks like the same guy. And they have a tattoo in their forearm, so they're showing the tattoo. And I sent you the video, Lonnie.
Okay.
So
is this something I'm going to be posting?
You can.
I can also put it on the website too for fun.
I'll see that video.
So I guess my question to you, Doug, being, like, and having all your expertise in conspiracy theories, is whether or not we actually have the technology to do so, or was this just a fluke of nature? Or is this guy
is a spiritual system?
No.
It's a spiritual system.
Or is this guy just like full of shit?
No, it's a spiritual. No, it's a spiritual system, and it is real. What happened is he happened upon one of the spirit holes in Earth. There's a bunch of them all over Earth, and he entered into a time warp, possibly even being duped by another demon, where the demon was able to recreate himself in his image. That is a possibility. Because what's happening too at CERN is they were able to transport something through time. It was very short, but they put voltage in one side and got voltage out the other side. So they've already done some time warp already, and they don't know if they've caused a time warp around the Earth, because there's a whole nother part of this that is and has to do with the Mandela effect.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get into the Mandela effect and start looking at some of the different angles and some of the different things that have come forward from that, you're going to see that we have opened the gate. I believe totally the gate is open on everything, because that veil has been broken a little. Torn just a little bit. It's not ripped open, but just enough for these other things, these fallen angels can start messing with us. And the Indians, the Native Americans, the native tribals down in South America, they all know about these holes. And so the shaman will do some heavy drugs, and they will go over to these little areas, and they'll almost disappear. Now, they're still there physically, but when they come back, they have these stories. You can't make these up.
Yeah.
You can't make these up.
Well,
they're not from here.
Would this be the same reason why you have there's a lot of different cultures that have tried to quote unquote get to heaven,
right,
or open the gateway to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I even have a whole book on it. I think it's Forbidden Gateways or something like that, or Forbidden Gates by Thomas Horn.
Okay, yeah, Tom. Yeah, he's got some great stuff.
That guy does his homework. But he there's some stuff with all that, like where they try to get to heaven, or try to get into the realm of heaven. But I think it all stems back from, is it Nimrod?
Yep.
And the Tower of Babel.
There you go.
Not just trying to build the world's tallest building. I mean, it basically says it right there in the text, what they're trying to do.
Oh.
And I think we lost Zumi. We'll try to get him back here, but we'll continue on. But that is some creepy stuff. So you think that it's possible?
Oh yeah.
Have at least now.
They unleashed a monster. That is for sure, and they don't know how to control it. So this will be interesting to see what they do to gain the controls of this thing.
I don't think I want anybody with the control to be able to travel through time.
I know.
I mean, there's a video that I made Zumi watch at one time. It's called the 1 minute time machine.
Oh yeah.
And it's basically a guy. He has this 1 minute time machine where you can go back in time 1 minute, and he can alter it. And it's a kind of a funny video and everything. Right. But he ends up finding out that every time that he goes back in time, he's killing the previous self and copying himself. So he's killed himself a bunch of times just trying to talk to this one girl. Go ahead. Are you okay now, Zumi? You're just going to do audio for now, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do audio for now, and like I said, this is just a check-in, so my call probably won't last. No internet, and I'm roaming in Mexico, so
Yeah,
Wow.
that's always pretty sketchy anyway.
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So you were saying it was essentially like a demon, right?
Yeah, well, it goes beyond that because when the shaman do heavy drugs, they can find these gates and they can time travel. They have stories that come out of the shaman all the time of different things they've seen that you can't make up that are not here on Earth. So this is normal for some of the tribes to have that experience. Now, this guy that was doing this, he accidentally found one of those portals. That's what happened.
That sucks.
Yeah. It'll scare you to death, actually, because if you don't know what it is and you're not willing to play with it, because the one thing he did is he decided to record it. Well, that's huge. So I want to see that footage.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take a look at the video. You know.
All right.
So, yeah, and what I was telling Doug was the relationship that could have with Nimrod. Do you know the story of Nimrod, Zumi?
No, I'm not familiar.
The Tower of Babel.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, like where the tribes of all the earth, and then they separate, not all speaking different languages and all that. But it was basically like Nimrod trying to build a tower tall enough to get him into this gateway that would get him into heaven.
Yep.
But
and he was talking to fallen angels too.
It's creepy stuff, man.
Yeah, he got into it. He was hardcore, and he might have been himself a Raphaim. There's a possibility.
Okay.
That he was one of the Earthborn.
Now, Zumi, what was this other thing that I was looking at this? We already talked about the CIA with the LSD.
Oh, nice! I can't wait.
Yeah, you'll like that one.
Now, gosh, the one thing that I'm looking at that I'm going to have your explanation on is the Calcio Florentino. What is that? Do you remember?
Yeah,
this
I'm
at
losing
all?
you guys. I was
Cutting out.
Hey, that's okay. Hey, we gave it a shot, and your voice will be heard no matter what.
There you go.
All right. Well, sorry guys, just checking in on you, Doug. Thank you again for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Lonnie will read out the questions that I had, but like I said, the one with the Russian one was a big one. And I was wondering if you can go like a little bit more in depth to the audience. Like, okay, so if you actually go into, or you're in a situation where you meet your future self, can you actually do something to change that current situation that future self is currently on or in?
Right, and a part of that is just by showing up, you've already done something. Just by showing up, like if your future self sees you.
So it's like
you
the chaos
just
theory.
Created a problem.
Well, yeah, it's the butterfly effect.
It changes the paradigm. It changes your actual atomic structure starts changing.
That's
everything.
not cool.
No, Einstein, Oppenheimer, Tesla, they all found this, and that's the Philadelphia effect.
Yeah,
the Philadelphia story. The big ship that disappeared for what, half hour, 45 minutes.
Weird.
Came back and the people were molded into the belly of it.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah, they found out then.
Now, there's something that just popped up in my mind. I don't know if you're still here with us, Zumi. Still here?
I'm still here.
Cool.
Okay, I have to ask you, because this is something that bugs me all the time with people that, they make fun of me for it, and I'm okay with it, but it's basically the zombies. Okay, and I know how that sounds, but I'm going to go with it. Have you ever heard of the Florida Keys incident?
I have.
Zumi has. Okay, Zumi, if you can, give me a quick explanation of that.
I don't know the details, but I know that some people got like this weird disease, and one of the symptoms was kind of like zombies. They were just craving flesh.
Oh.
And
it did happen from a rather weird, but also very similar to movie type of situation. where they had, I think it was a certain type of fish that were contaminated
Uh-oh.
with something, and the rats ended up eating whatever washed up on the shore on these islands, and the rats ended up biting cats and dogs, and the dogs and cats would bite the humans, and the humans started having these rabies-like symptoms. Now, when I say zombies, I believe in zombies, all that type of stuff. I'm not saying I believe in George A. Romero type zombies or World War Z.
Right.
I'm saying
right.
I believe in a scenario where humans get a virus or get some type of sickness that basically makes the virus in control and no longer the human. Yeah. And this already exists. I mean, with rabies, that already exists.
Right.
You know, if you ever want to be creeped out one night when you're alone, just go watch some videos on the effects of rabies.
Yes, it'll mess you up.
That is messed up stuff. And that's all the virus taking control.
And then if you want to go one step further, the people who are on heroin and this flakka and you got Special K and you got all these other things going on in the world, you start doing cocktails with some of this stuff and it turns you into something you're not.
Yeah.
Now, the thing about some of this is the drug aspect of it opens up your cerebral cortex to the demonic world around you. You have a demonic world around you all the time. Everywhere you go, you can't get rid of it. You can't stop it. It's never going to go away. When you go to sleep at night, you get visited. Everybody does. Every human on earth gets visited. Now, if you do drugs, you opened up your cerebral cortex to that demon. Whoever's passing through, and they get to play. Oh, they get to go nuts.
So it's like Silent Hill and The Matrix combined?
Yeah, they can do stuff to you. So you have people who are on drugs who have crazy stories in their dreams. Well, some of them are not dreams.
Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and take a quick break, and Zumi, I'll go ahead and let you go.
All right.
If you're still, you're still there.
It's breaking up, but I'm still here.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, we'll take a quick break. I'll go make sure that the wife and kids are still alive. I'm getting text messages, so we'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that, folks. So, what are we getting into now, Doug?
Well, you want to get into the machines?
Whatever you feel like. This is your hour now.
One of the things I started watching a long time ago, especially after my dad and that evangelist had that talk, was I started watching the military and their machines and what they're making, how they're utilizing them, and what they're doing. And then you started seeing things show up in the real world in front of you that most people don't take as military. And one of the aspects is shopping. Shopping. You would think military has nothing to do with shopping, right?
Okay.
Except for they program you when you go in there. They have frequency levels in the lights and in certain, like, they might even have a radio broadcast actually going inside the store that sets up a synaptic area in your brain for that store.
Really?
Walmart.
Oh, I hate Walmart.
They're part of the DOD.
Really?
Yeah. They are a FEMA camp. They can get that store emptied in 5 hours, and they have enough stuff inside there to put up the walls for a prison camp.
Well, that's not cool.
And they built that one next to the railroad tracks in Spokane.
Yeah.
There's a reason. It's not an accident.
Yeah, the one thing about Walmart that's always bugged me is the tendency for it to draw out the worst of the community.
And there's a reason. Our military is worshiping Lucifer. What happens when you worship Lucifer? You don't get cohesiveness. You don't get friends. You don't get people that, like, help each other. You get people who are fragmented and hate each other.
Yeah.
That's what you get.
Well, it would make sense.
Yeah. So you go to Walmart, there you go.
You know, I despise Walmart. I've made it known on this podcast alone many times that the only times I've ever gone is when I've had to go.
You don't have a choice.
And then it's like, you know what? You know, I don't get in, get out.
Yeah. Well, Good plan. I tell you, it's really scary because, and I got into that part of the machines, and I started seeing the computers they were building, and I started seeing the new Intel when you go into the servers. I love server technology.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is awesome. Well, I was looking at some of the Intel new chipsets coming out and the new motherboards that are coming out, and they're all RFID ready.
Well, of course they are.
So some of the new server motherboards will accept, say, 10 million RFID hits per second.
Wow. Can
transfer 10 gigabytes per second in information. If not more, it might be even 100 gigabytes now, because that was a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
So
the technology is exponential.
That 5G technology has to come out soon in order for them to gain full control. Because that's the full control features when they can get 5G. Now they can shut you down where you are, no matter where you are. And you have to wait until they get there to figure out what you did wrong. What did you do wrong?
Well, that's like the thing that just bugs me is like, I don't think it was Google, but one of these tech companies basically somehow convinced all of their employees that they needed an RFID chip.
Oh, right.
And it was basically much easier than a badge, so you can just walk in the door.
Soda company out of Wisconsin, I think.
Yeah, and it's like, really, that's what you got stuff implanted into your body for?
It's going to cause cancer.
Like,
right where it is. So
if someone told me all we have to do is plant this tiny little wireless device into your body, and you can now just walk into work and you don't have to pull out your badge out of your wallet.
Right.
I'd be like, or you could, go whistle and leave me the hell alone.
Right.
Because just the idea of it alone, it's like, instead of pulling out my wallet, now I'm just going to be able to walk in the building.
Right.
But the exchange isn't worth it to me.
No. I don't remember the lady's name. She works for one of the big robotics companies. And she said that you got swallowable technology that you can have inside of you for short periods of time when you want it. And then they got what you're talking about, and she calls it a superpower. So the kids can have their very first superpower where they can make the car turn on. They can make the door open to the house before they get there and close afterwards. They don't have to do anything. They'll run right into their bedroom and start playing their game. Or now with that new Wii thingy, you can now never stop your game. You don't ever have to stop your game at all, ever. And especially if you start getting into the optics.
Yeah.
You start your game and it's a 5-week game.
What?
You're not going to stop this game for 5-6 weeks. You're going to play even during your sleep. There's going to be an avatar playing it for you while you're sleeping. You'll wake up, get information, and get downloaded. You'll be fully ready. Get up, you're eating breakfast while you're still playing. You never have to stop the game.
Sounds like a movie.
Yeah, it's all scripted. Our whole system is scripted.
It's a very Fahrenheit 451 type stuff.
There you go. Yes.
With
Must see that
his
movie.
wife. I remember that was one of my favorite books growing up in grade school.
Okay, I haven't read the book.
It's pretty intense. The guy's wife, basically, she's into soap operas and sitcoms and stuff like that. And in the future, she has these walls that are TVs. And it's an older book. So it's not technically as advanced as you might think it is with the technology that they describe. But it still stands to reason. So she has 4 walls, she has 3 walls. She has a ceiling, and she gets scripts in the mail so that she can feel like she's part of it. Well, she was all excited in the book. She's all excited because she's getting her 4th wall that's going to enclose her, and that's going to be her last thing where she feels like she's immersed into the character or whatever that she does.
Gotcha.
And the whole basis of that book was that it's very Orwellian, that's it's society has broken down so much. The government has so much power. This is one of the big reasons I'm more of a conservative than I am a liberal, because I cannot stand government. I think that anything that they touch turns to crap. They should stick to governing, and that's it. And, you can see it in any country of the world, that's ever tried a different system like socialism or whatever. Give me one country that's ever had socialism and it worked out.
Not one.
And,
no.
the whole idea is that the premise itself is flawed.
Yep.
You know, and
Yep.
it's the premise of socialism depends on utopia.
Right.
And if you
Right.
can't have utopia, which is impossible,
The human brain doesn't have utopia in itself.
yeah, it would break you anyway, even if
Yes.
everything was too perfect.
Yeah. You know, the best way to kill somebody? Give them everything they want.
Yeah.
They're dead in a week
Yeah.
because they'll commit suicide.
Yep, and that's the the idea of the lottery. You know,
Yes,
you-
correct.
Money is not something that changes you. It's like Zumi has said, money is it's a magnifying glass,
Exactly.
and it just
yes.
shows you who you really are. It just gives you the opportunities that you never had,
Exactly.
and those opportunities aren't necessarily good ones. That's why you
Nope.
see a lot of people just blow their money,
Yeah.
or they'll be in way worse shape than they were before they ever had the money.
Oh yeah, they borrowed more than they made.
Yep, and
Every
it's
time.
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a tax on the
materialism.
poor.
Oh man, I used to go up to Northtown there to watch the Christmas shoppers because there's the ultimate materialistic system.
Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, for me, it's like I go up there and I meander around a little bit. I'll buy a little bit of food and just keep meandering. But it's like these people. That's zombie land
Yeah.
for me personally. Just because their brain is gone. They're looking for these great things. They want these great things, and it's like they're looking to turn to garbage in about a year.
Yeah.
Most everything does.
Or they'll never use it, or
Something happens, and they never did.
Well, that's
but
the
it was
whole-
important at the time. But
the whole Black Friday thing just baffles me. You know, it's something that we've discussed before. We've gone through 2 Black Fridays on this podcast.
MK Ultra,
Oh,
mind control, all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
it's just terrible. And we've said, before that things like Black Friday, it's basically like a mild version of that movie, The Purge.
Yes. Oh, big time.
You know, it's
That's good. I like
because
that.
it's-
Yeah.
You know,
I've never really put those two together.
yeah,
Because
I mean, you
yeah.
can see police officers in some of these
Oh.
locations, but they're not doing anything.
Nope. Mm-mm.
And there's some
Gonna
incidents
allow
where you
everything
watch
to
them
happen.
just watch the event unfold.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something else that's been happening pretty recently, is you see a lot of videos going around of violence with these protest groups. you know,
Right.
and
Right.
the
Yes.
cops are just standing on the sideline, just watching it happen. And you find out, they were told to stand down.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Not good. Not good. Antifa.
Oh, gosh.
Anti-fascist means that you're communist.
Yeah.
That's what it was built for.
Yeah.
That was the whole premise. It's not you're against fascists. It's now you're going to take on the communist system.
Yeah.
Of I'm in control. You're not. You're dead.
And it's the whole thing that the racism thing has changed a whole lot. Because it used to be
Soros.
I hate to use this as a pun, but it used to be very black and white. It used to be, like you did or said something that was in discrimination of one race or one color, that was racism.
Yep.
And that's what I think it still is,
Yep.
except now it's the definition has been changed.
Correct.
It's if you don't agree.
That's important
Yeah.
for the future.
Yes, and it
Important.
sucks because let's just say now there's the whole the white privilege thing.
You must divide people.
Yeah, and
People must be divided.
and
Everybody.
I can probably ask
Not good.
9 out of 10 people, if those people that they meet, the people that are their friends, is color one of the first things that you
No,
realize? It's
never.
not.
Nah,
I mean, I don't understand, and that's honestly, when you just talk to a person for the first time,
yeah,
the last thing I'm thinking is what color you are.
doesn't matter.
But it does come up, obviously. Of course it comes up. I still have eyes, but it's not one of those things that's a determining factor for my
Right.
conversation
Right.
with that person.
Right. I'm into culture. I actually go to fellow workmates that we have are from different countries, and I go talk to them about their country, where they're from, where did they live, what was the city like. I love it.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Having that culture, to me, is the most important thing in all of our lives.
Well, you can learn a lot
It's
from it
beautiful.
because it's, I work with one who's from Poland,
Right.
and he cannot understand why some of these Americans want socialism so bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What?
He saw it in
Is
action.
this a sickness that these people have? Because this is not the government that you want. This is not the society that you want. Socialism is such a terrible... I mean, you need look no further than Venezuela.
Yep. Oh, it's bad.
Because they all
really
asked
bad.
for it and they got it.
Yep.
They all voted for it
Yeah.
and they got socialism. And they didn't just get socialism.
Oh,
they got
man.
every piece of what socialism represents.
Yeah.
And now look at them.
The wealthy get wealthier and the poor end up eating themselves.
Yeah. And
Literally.
that's a literal term.
Literally. You can actually YouTube that because there are videos.
It's pretty awful. The whole thing.
Yeah. Sick.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Oh man. Yeah. So let's. I want to get into this machine because I started writing Cathedral of Machines because I work in one. I work on machines all the time, and it's basically a cathedral, and people worship their machines, and especially gamers. Gamers are big time known for worshiping their machines.
Absolutely.
You must have it. You don't have a choice. You have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started thinking down the lines of AI and how it was going to come about and all that. So I created this little thesis, or my mantra or meme, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to read this here real quick. And these are my protocols for why I wrote Cathedral of Machines. And it's power that equates control. In other words, power that you can't stop it and you have to bow to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Complete manipulation of humanity cannot be achieved without machines. They gotta have them. Money is a machine, and it is the drive and the motivation for all that follows. So there's a list here of things that have to do with the money. Electricity is a power source of the machines. Consumers will demand an increase. Oil is the lubricant of the machines. The black horse of the apocalypse, who is carrying a pair of scales, is told, do not harm the oil or the wine.
That's interesting.
So we are going to have oil, whether that's cooking oil or if that's motor oil, I'm not sure. Not sure which one. And we'll have alcohol. So no problem going into the future. We got alcohol, right? All right. Food will not be produced or moved without machines. The computer is a machine. It's a catalyst. If the previous statements are true, then those who own the Federal Reserve expect our government to be a machine. So, our government is a machine. Our government expects us to be a machine. Citizens will obey all laws all the time.
Yes, and it's also an interesting thing. There's a very distinct separation on that. With the obeying at all times.
Right.
You know, naturally it sounds great, right? That everybody's following the rules, right?
It does.
There are incidents, if you really think about it, there are incidents where that won't make sense.
Nope. Exactly.
Such
run
as
into a wall
murder
there.
is one of the perfect examples. What if you're defending your family? Nope, can't do it.
Nope.
Nope. You gotta call the police or whatever. That's one of the big things. The gun grab.
Nope. It is sick. I hate that part.
See people getting sued for shooting an intruder all the time.
That shouldn't happen. The fallen spirits use religion as a machine. Your religion expects you to be a machine. You will obey all laws at all times, including those laws that contradict one another.
Interesting that we have Sharia being pushed.
Yes. Humans have the capability of doing this. Machines don't. They use machine logic.
Yeah.
So this is going to end up at war. Period. The humans versus the machines. Period. It's going to happen. Education is a machine. Administrators expect the professors and teachers to be machines. Your teacher, your professor, expects you to be a machine.
Your boss.
Business is a machine. Owners expect management to be a machine. Management expects workers to be machines. The money you make is based on how machine-like you are.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Medicine is a machine. Extreme biological and mechanical technology live there.
Mm-hmm.
The military is a machine. War logistics killing machines, contaminant protocol, surveillance intel, WMD, and biological weapons live there.
It's messed up.
They dwell on it. Manufacturing is a machine. Your future machine. It lives there. Right? Construction. Giant machine. You will be distracted by intention by the following. Recreational use of substances to subdue the biological systems. The human spirit will be denied access to vital information to limit choices. Manipulatory engineering of human desires. Mm-hmm. Alcohol and drug use is not an accident.
That is something that I completely agree with. If you have a question about that, like, ask why marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug.
Yeah.
But, things like heroin and cocaine are Schedule 2. That to me is insane. What's the worst? Now, I'm not saying I smoke weed. Right. I have a job, people.
Yes. We have to do random drug tests.
Seriously, what is the worst thing that happens when you're smoking weed?
I go to sleep. Yeah, I'm done. I 8 hours.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
or the with cocaine and heroin, worst thing that you're going to do is probably murder someone or kill yourself.
Oh, it's horrible.
These things are terrible. And then, of course, you get into the even worse drugs. Zumi and I just had about a half hour on a podcast episode not too long ago talking about this new drug. I forget what it's called. It's like the devil's something. But it's basically like some guy can blow it onto your face.
No.
And you lose all ability to control your own actions.
Oh.
Someone can tell you, go over there, you'll go over there.
Like Flacca.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Oh, Flacca's terrible. The zombie drug.
Look up Flacca and FLAKKA.
Mm-hmm. Terrible.
Those videos are horrible.
That's some messed up stuff, man.
Retail is a machine. Materialistic possession subterfuge.
For real.
Sports is a machine. The competitors must out-machine one another in perfection measured by machines in wins.
Mm-hmm.
Entertainment is a machine. Humans manipulated by mass media hyper-influence to distract attention away from the coming horror and human suffering.
Just something interesting. There's been a lot of movies out in the last few years. The last few years that have been... I don't know how to put it, but it's basically, the way I would describe it is they seem like a distraction to, they seem like they're telling the true story in a false way.
Correct, yeah. That's good.
One of the basic ones was Noah. Did you see that movie?
Oh, I love it.
Oh my gosh.
I got into a big conversation with my dad on this one, because he hated it right off the bat. And I'm like, this opened the door for me.
Yes, because people wonder.
Oh yeah,
and people will ask you like, was Noah seriously like this? Like, no,
Enoch either. They showed Enoch as an idiot.
Yeah,
no, Enoch was not stupid.
No,
matter of fact, I can guarantee you, if you actually got to see Enoch, he probably had 2 or 3 of the strongest God's angels right next to him.
It's possible.
I'm serious.
It's crazy stuff.
It is.
But yeah, the whole thing, the movies that have come out lately, I mean, they're just absolutely ridiculous. Especially the Bible movies; those are the ones that make me most upset.
They have to be manipulated. Again, they have to draw the narrative, and you got to put their meme in there. And I
think it's an attempt to be like, see how ridiculous this is.
Yeah, it's stupid. You don't pay any attention to it. Plus, here's the thing: I heard the Bible's finished. We completed it back in 2002, 2003. The Bible was completed. We went through all of Revelation in the 90s and early 2000s. Oh, yes. All of Revelation was over. So we're done.
The rapture is already is not a real event. And
we can continue on. We're going to write the new Bible, which they're doing right now. Look up Illuminati.am. They have Illuminati.am.
Okay.
They have their little mantra in the intro. Don't worry. We know things are bad. But don't worry, we're coming. We're going to help humanity out. Yeah. So they got their new Bible. The Pope has his new Bible coming, and it's got all of the Sharia in it that he needs, and all of the little Bible stories that the kiddies like. So we keep those. Along with the AI. The new AI.
That's another thing, the pushing of the agenda.
Yes.
It was just, I think, about a year ago, or maybe about 2 years ago, where they had the Satanist Club.
Yeah.
Or the Satan Club, or whatever it is, in elementary school.
Yeah. I'm wondering how they're doing now. I have not heard anything now in a year.
Oh, yeah, it's been pretty silent.
And I want to hear how they're doing and what they're doing.
Yeah.
If they've actually infiltrated or not.
I don't know. It's that to me, it's like, let's just say you believe in Satan. Like, if you believe in Satan, doesn't that mean you have to believe in the other one?
Yeah.
And you want to go against the other one?
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I don't know what they believe exactly specifically, but here's the deal. Here's where the big picture comes in. Under Lucifer's regime, you have the best alcohol that has ever been created. You have the best drugs humans could ever even... You can't even believe how good these drugs are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You got these. These are yours, man. Check it out. Have fun. Right? You got the music. You got the movies, you got the video games, you got all this stuff. These are the power and control features of your new world order. We don't want you to play that video game. You can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
What does the kid want now? More than anything, that video game. Doesn't matter what it was. I want that. Oh, I want that. That Lucifer system. What do you want? What do you want? Then you look at God's system, and he set up the system so that families could have families, could continue families forever. Literally
that
forever.
Seems like one of the biggest breakdowns in society is the absence of family.
We are going to lose all of our families.
Yeah.
In the next 20 years.
Oh, yeah, I don't see how it could continue. I don't, because the family model these days doesn't work.
Nope. They made sure it won't.
And the fact that, let's just say, Child Protective Services finds out that you spank your kids, they're gone. Let's just say that the Child Protective Services...
Just discuss that book right there.
Oh, yeah.
In school,
discuss
you're
anything
done.
about the Bible. Yeah, but you
You're
can teach your kids about the Quran. You can teach
Yes.
them about the manifestos and the holy works of all these other religions. You cannot do the Christian Bible. You can do Book of Mormon.
Oh, yeah.
You can do
great fictional
Maccabees
story.
and all the other additions to Catholicism.
Right.
You can do all of those things, but you speak anything from that book right there, and
You're done.
yeah. And or if you deny that your child is a gender other than what they claim to be.
Right.
That
Yep.
It's a crazy world out there, man.
Yep. Things are going to get very hairy over the next 2 years. This year alone, because of their inception and the design of the new cryptocurrencies, that's coming forward. They knew about it way back. And I believe that they have been designing this thing for quite a while to take over. They're loving what Bitcoin's doing.
Oh, yeah. What is Bitcoin at now these days? Just in the last few days, it's gone from, I think it was 10,000, and that was one of the big milestones.
Right.
And now I think it's, let's take a look. Now it is at $13,970 for one Bitcoin.
It's still bad.
I remember just last year it was still in the hundreds.
Yeah.
I think it was at 400. No, that was this year. It was at 400 something. Mm-hmm. And then that was where it plummeted, quote unquote.
It'll never
craziness.
come back, right?
And now it's just every day, even 2 or 3 times a day, just boom, skyrocketing.
I think that's the frustration that people are showing.
Yeah.
People are showing the frustration in it.
Yeah.
Because understand that blockchain that runs cryptocurrency, it's that blockchain, that is the component that feeds AI.
Yeah, and the whole blockchain programming is incredible if you actually ever take a look at it.
If you can look it up and start
intricate.
understanding it, I already have mine.
Yeah, and it's
one day
If you don't understand what blockchain is, just start doing a quick search.
Yep, YouTube's got several videos,
Mm-hmm.
short ones,
and they make it pretty easy to understand. They do the explain like I'm 5 type thing.
Yep.
You'll be amazed.
Good place to start, because if you get into it, it is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I started to get in there, and I was like, "Oh, this is too much. I'm having too much fun." I backed away from it, so I'm designing a machine just for my own blockchain. It'll be 2 years before I get it, but once I get my machine up and running, then I'll let everybody know, and I'll have mine up for sale.
Oh, cool.
It'll be cool. Yeah, and it'll be cheap.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things that's going to rise.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you pay $1.99 for the app, and it runs all the blockchain off of my system.
Awesome.
Yeah, one of those.
Well, there's been some stuff going on. I mean, there's been a lot of like we've said, division, in the
Massive
country,
fragmentation.
The thing that I can't understand, and I get people's frustration with me because I'm a conservative and therefore I am a Trump supporter. There's one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is how many Trump supporters there are, because the media won't tell you this. I know that's something that's been said over, a long span of time, is that don't trust what the news tells you.
Right.
But it's true. I mean, they just look at, for example, the polling that happened before the election.
Scary stuff.
What was it at one time? 96% chance that Hillary Clinton would win the election.
Yeah.
And that there was absolutely no chance that Trump would win.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out later on. Now, these are facts. Like, people would like to think that this is something that I'm just spouting off because Fox News told me. I don't watch Fox News.
Exactly.
I don't watch CNN. I don't watch Fox. I don't even watch Alex Jones.
Right.
I just don't watch any of that stuff because mostly because it's well known.
Right.
And it just seems to me like the more well known it is, the less I want to listen. Don't follow the crowd.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
The division that's happened in this country, the one thing that I think that happened that divided us automatically, but it made it very clear who was on what side, was this whole national anthem protesting thing.
Yeah.
Because before then, there was still the division. You still had Trump supporters being hated by, the liberals, and then you had the conservatives hating the liberals for things that they do, and it was just ridiculous. But before this whole anthem thing, there was no clear division. Like, you could see, this person believes this and this person believes that. After that, it was very clear, how important is your country to you?
Exactly.
And that was like one of the last things that kind of held us together.
Right.
Was our respect for the flag, respect for the country, and those who had died to keep that freedom there.
Oh, big time.
And it sucks.
Yep.
And it's not really one of those things that I wanted to be revealed because I kind of, ignorance is bliss type of thing.
Right.
But it made it very clear because you go into work the next day and, one person would say, good for them. And it's like, oh, okay. And then you'd have another person say, how dare they? And it made it very clear. But the one thing that sucks in this country is that we used to be the country of brotherhood and unification and all that. And the ones that had their shit together and we could help other people.
Right.
Now we can't even help ourselves.
Exactly.
And it sucks.
At all.
And
we're very much in the toilet. The whole meme of I understand freedom of speech and I understand all of those different aspects.
Yep.
But I go back to 1776 with that whole thing, because what did it take for our country to rip away from another country?
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, what George Washington did, and his dad taught him some stuff, and then read a little bit about what was going on with Ben Franklin at the time.
Yes.
And Thomas Jefferson. They were all there, and they all had their own ideas about what they wanted to be done. And they were all able to sit down and actually hash this thing out. That's amazing.
Yep. And something that's virtually impossible nowadays.
Can't.
There's no way.
Yeah. Well, we can agree on one little part of one sentence, but the paragraph has to go.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's incredible. the whole debate behind, the amendments now, or the Constitution in general. The Second Amendment has always been the big one, but especially now because we have shooting every day, or it seems like it,
right?
Or we have things that look like a shooting that aren't really a shooting, or and then it's all just a big gun grab, that, in my opinion. But it seems to me that if we were to actually be honest with ourselves,
right,
and look at the Constitution and all of the amendments as they were supposed to be read and supposed to be understood,
right,
not just from someone's personal opinion, by their personal experience in life,
right.
It would do us all a whole lot of good.
Yeah.
To take it the right way.
I would sure like to go back there. I would sure like to, but we have a little problem. We have our children that are being taught not to look there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when they're taught not to look there, someday, maybe later, they'll get into it and they'll go back and go, oh, hey, why weren't we taught this?
Yeah.
They're going to ask that question one day. I sure hope they do. I'm teaching my daughter that, we got some stuff going on. Sometimes I need you to be distracted, and sometimes you cannot be distracted.
Yep.
That is one thing you cannot be distracted on. And so we're going to a school right now that allows for people like me to have that say. We get to teach our daughter this.
Mm-hmm. And it's very important.
That's huge. Yep. It's massive. But I look at the public school down the street, and none of those kids could tell you what a constitution is.
They might be able to tell you what Parliament does, though.
True.
And
true.
That's the sad part, is that they'll teach more about what other countries do with their government system than they'll teach you with their own.
Right. Yeah, and that almost makes me wonder is, where is our administration at in their thinking 20 years from now?
Yeah.
What are they thinking? They think this is going to be good?
And
it is not going to be good.
And that's the thing that sucks, is that I think that we've gotten so bad with our politics. Because if you look back at the original politicians of the brand new United States of America, senators and congressmen, all of them, they did not go to Congress full time.
Right.
They were not a full-time congressman. They were not a full-time senator or whatever. And there's a reason why they only worked 35, 40 days a year. It's because they had a life.
They actually had to work, too.
They had jobs. They had a family to take care of. Yes. And the fact that they also had to travel to the Capitol.
Work.
And now we've kept that mentality where, you only have to work 40 days a year, but it's our full-time job. If anyone out there is listening to this and can give me a good reason why we should be paying senators, congressmen, House representatives, why we should be paying them with our tax dollars what they want to make their paychecks instead of what we decide it's going to be.
Right.
Give me a good reason and I'll listen to you.
Right.
But I'm one of those people that believes you should have a salary cap, you should have term limits, and just be done with it. Because I feel like if you were to make a salary cap, just like you do in sports, say $80,000 a year as a senator, and then if you win your second term, you get $100,000 a year, and that's it. If you put that cap on there, also with the stipulation that you can't lobby,
right?
You can't work with companies, you can't, speak on behalf of another country.
Right.
That's a big one, by the way. It happens all the time.
It does.
If you can't do those things, you flush out a good 80 to 90% of our politics.
Big time. Now, add to that, you give those people who are willing to go there for free authority. Real authority, where they can say, you can't do that, and we're going to stop this system from coming forward. If you give them that authority, then in their ethics, in their morals, they can put, hey, there are some companies that need to come forward, and there are some companies that need to take a seat.
Yeah.
You don't have to disappear, but take a seat.
Yeah.
Those companies that are doing the worst harm to our system are those companies that have so much money we can't be stopped. You can't stop us.
And that's where I would tend to agree with some of the liberals. You know,
Right.
it's like these huge companies that are basically impervious to, you know, say legislation or regulations and stuff like that, because they can just go and do it,
Right.
pay off somebody, and continue doing it. And that's where you get a lot of these horror stories, you know, from people. And I understand that, and that's where I'll side with the liberal. Yeah, but it's just gotten so bad in our country that I feel like we've totally and completely lost our way with what we're supposed to have. And it's all been built on, you know, the failure of semantics. It sucks.
Yep.
It's like, what does the letter of the law say?
Yep.
And the craziest thing about the crime in this country, or the violence that comes from some of the illegal immigration or anything like that, all of this could be stopped by just enforcing what laws exist already.
We don't have to have more law.
That's the whole thing.
We don't need it. We have that. We need the people who have that law in their head to come forward and start making it real.
Yeah, and it was somebody that just has the cojones to enforce the law.
And it's what's going to take. It's what's going to take. That, too, is another war.
Yeah.
And so Civil War has already started in the United States. We already have Civil War. We're on the verge of World War III.
Oh, I could see it happening.
It's already on the internet.
Yeah.
Once it becomes physical, then people actually start seeing it. Then they're going to go, oh, wait, you mean there's something happening?
And if you really think that it can't happen, if we can never go back to the Civil War that our country had,
right?
Go back and look at history and see how easily that one happened.
That one knocked off in a second.
If you really, really look into the American Civil War, the craziest thing about that is if you actually look into it, you find out that slavery was not the only issue on the table.
Correct.
There was a lot of regulation being pushed. There was a lot of legislation being pushed on other states, by other states, you know, and the stuff that just did not make sense
at all.
And you can see it from both sides. And you can see from the South, there was a ton of people in politics that were completely against slavery.
Yeah.
And they're like,
there were good people
We don't want any of that.
Right.
You know, but you guys are trying to push this. Yeah. And we can't have that. So what we'll do is we'll beat the North and we'll fix our situation. Right. Well, obviously that didn't happen. Right. I say thank God, because I don't, you know, slavery is awful and terrible.
Yes.
But
shouldn't exist,
the Civil War is an interesting part of our history here in the United States, and something that I hope that we never forget.
Yes. And we have forgotten, and we're heading there again.
And if we're going to keep forgetting, if we keep taking down statues and political figures in history from our history books, and just because it hurts somebody's feelings.
You got to remember.
Yeah.
That is vital. Those memory banks have to open up.
Absolutely. And one of the books here, I don't know if you've ever seen Original Intent. One of the greatest books I've ever read on American history.
Oh, cool.
And the other one was something I actually got from the movie Good Will Hunting.
Oh, cool.
He talks about a book called The People's History of the United States by, I think it's Howard Zim, something like that. But it's a People's History of the United States, and these two books, like this one and that one, are told from the perspective of people that are not politicians, people that are not in leadership positions. It's told from the perspective of, say, slaves, the natives, of the low-ranking politicians that didn't have any power, and what they saw. And these two books together, A People's History of the United States and Original Intent, will completely change your view on what has happened in this country.
Very cool. Okay.
And if you read these things, you'll find out what especially Original Intent, what the Constitution was originally meant for. Sure. Because there's notes written by the politicians that wrote the Constitution. There's memoirs and things like that say why that Second Amendment is there.
Right.
And it's not to make sure that just muskets are the right to bear arms.
Right.
You know, but very interesting stuff. But we're getting pretty close to our end time. So what we'll do is we will table some of this stuff. Some of the stuff that I was going to talk about. It might be a little heavy, and I don't think we're going to be able to do it in the next 9-10 minutes.
Nope.
Which is the pedophile rings in the United States as well as the rest of the world. One of the craziest things I've ever seen is the opening up of that Pandora's box. Every day. Hardcore. And if you're skeptical about that, I point you no further than Hollywood right now.
Yep.
And that is scary stuff. And don't just disregard that stuff. I mean, that stuff is serious.
No, it's going to come back to bite us.
Yep.
The whole United States is going to get bit on this one because the highest levels are attacked by it.
Oh, yeah. And the craziest thing to me is that Corey Feldman ain't dead yet.
Nope. That's amazing. That is amazing.
I'm surprised that guy hasn't been sniped or poisoned because he's opening up a huge can of worms right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. Yeah, I'm sure he's hiding somewhere safe. I hope so.
I really do hope so because he had a terrible childhood. And him with Corey Haim and a bunch of other kids like that. Oh, which brings me to something else I'd like to say before I leave. Michael Jackson. I don't know if you've seen some of the home videos of Michael Jackson, like when he had some of like the I think it was the Macaulay Culkin and his little brother Rory Culkin. He had him over and they were in the pool and they're playing and stuff like that. When you watch those videos, like I've heard a lot of people say, and I used to be one of those people, that Michael Jackson was a pedophile. I don't know if I believe that so much after watching some of these videos. I just think that Joe Jackson messed those kids up so bad that they never got to have a childhood.
Right.
Because when you watch Michael Jackson in those videos, he looks like a kid. He looks like he's just having fun, and nowhere do I ever see him acting anywhere near inappropriate.
Right.
Whereas you look at other guys and you see like old videos of like a known pedophile, when they move around kids and stuff like that, you can tell.
Right.
Especially after you know.
Right.
You know, you're like, oh, that totally. I'm surprised I didn't notice it before,
right.
You know, type of thing.
Very apparent.
Yeah.
Whenever I see any Jackson videos, I see an artist.
Yeah.
I don't see the person.
Oh, yeah.
Which that cover there, he has moves. He has different tweaks in his personality that are not normal to a human being.
Yeah.
He developed those over a long period of time. And when you have those different pieces all put together in a single human, he's going to act different around people.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to act the same.
Well, the This Is It documentary, where it was basically his last concert, and I think he was basically just going to retire from concerts and stuff. Zumi made me watch it. He's like, you have to watch it, dude. You have to just see what he's like with people.
Right.
And he was right. I mean, he was telling me about how, you know, Michael Jackson is one of the most compassionate people you'd ever see. Like, he has these people coming up and auditioning, or when they finally get the part, you know, he's working with them. And never does he do anything rude. Like, when he's trying to tell somebody, you know, like, you did that wrong.
Right.
Instead, he goes, you know what? You know, that was great. He goes, you sounded awesome, and he gives him all these points. He's like, let's try it here instead. Nowhere in that critique did he say, you did this wrong, or I don't like the way you did that. He's just saying, you know, I'm not going to try to hurt your feelings because you're already panicked. You're going to be up on stage with somebody like me.
He's a great
Let's
teacher.
try it over here. Let's try and do this. I mean, fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he knew his system was so different that he had to teach people.
Yeah.
And he knew if he pissed everybody off, he wasn't going to have a show.
Well, that's the whole thing is he's done it for so long. His dad, you know, as evil as Joe Jackson might have been,
and he probably
taught him
was
everything.
Extremely.
And he built upon that when he moved out on his own, did his own thing, and then he became basically the director, producer, you know, grip, everything. I mean, he does everything, but I mean, not anymore, obviously, but...
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It's a really sad story, that whole Jackson family, and one day I hope that Joe Jackson gets what he deserves, because that man is one evil, evil dude. You know, it's sad, but anyway. But yes, it was very fun having you on.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'm going to do a write-out on what I've done here, and then I got some stuff to add to it. I'm going to give you a written document.
Awesome.
So you can post that if you want.
Absolutely. We like adding stuff to our website.
Cool.
Well,
Content.
Now that I have the outro recorded, I don't have to do the weird, awkward thing where you're sitting there and I'm doing all the ads and stuff like that. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, people, we will see you in probably 2 weeks. I'll give Zumi a little bit of time to, unpack and get settled in his new place and his new studio and everything. So the normal time, 2 weeks, we will see you. All right, have a good 2 weeks, everybody. Thanks for listening to the NBTLT podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, or shoutengine.com. Write to us on our website at nbtltpodcast.com or send us an email at mail@nbtltpodcast.com. Our bumper music is provided by bensound.com, and you can find us on all social media. And hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Thank you.